Morning everyone. I think this is our very first inaugural session hosted by AIM, and my association with AIM goes back for 9 years. I think over the course of the last 9 years it has grown significantly, grown globally, very much in line with what's happening in the world of AI and Gen AI very recently. My name is Deep Thomas and I'm happy to start today's session, and I look forward to closely interacting with you in days to come. I just wanted to share some thoughts on what's happening on Gen AI. The topic is unleashing the power of Gen AI. Honestly, I'm a student of Gen AI because it's a very, very new and hot topic. We're all learning both the evils, the perils, and the opportunities of Gen AI. But I'll start with this. I think the concept of intelligence has turned on its head over the last 50 years. Contrary to people's belief, human intelligence is not human intelligence, because 50 years back, I don't know how many of you are aware of this, a British programmer called Harold Cole actually devised a software program called Aaron. And Aaron had generative capabilities. Essentially, was creating generative art through a combination of software which was controlling a device to create different pieces of art. This is one form of the art, and of course there are hundreds and hundreds of pieces of art that Aaron has created. In fact, it's one of those art pieces that has outlived the artist as well. And that's 50 years back. So the point to note here is, I think creativity and intelligence both are getting amplified with new age technologies, and one recently as Gen AI. And now, of course, most of you are aware of this, with the top CEOs and technologists claiming this to be as profound as some of the most element aspects of innovation that we've seen in our life. But more importantly, I think from what we've seen in Gen AI, which was initially started with deepfakes and videos to influence the minds of people, has actually significantly branched into a lot more creative areas. In fact, areas which common man would not even think of. So if you look at some of these things, over the course of the last 12 months, you've seen car commercials, which is purely being created through Gen AI. We've seen news anchors that are now digital avatars that are generating content. We've got inspirational quotes that are coming from Gen AI. We've seen, Halloween costumes that are being created and designed by Gen AI. So the point here is, what started perhaps only as a form of content creation to influence minds is actually now penetrating into different aspects of what we do, how we read, what we watch, what we wear, and what we get inspired by. But I think coming to more real business applications, I think what we're seeing is the emergence of many areas where businesses are actually now trying to use Gen AI. So the way to look at it is within the realms of what Gen AI could do, there is an efficiency play and then there is an effectiveness play. Now, what do I mean by efficiency? I'll give you an example. Code generation or job standardization. In large organizations, the one that I represent, you've got thousands and thousands of JDs that are now for the same job family, for the same job title, depending on which location the particular position is being hired, and depending on the manager who's putting together the JD will have its own variants for the same company like us. Now, what I mean by efficiency here is use Gen AI capabilities to then standardize AI across the firm for that area. Now, the same thing can be done with respect to contracts, the same thing can be done with respect to certain policies, the same thing can be done with respect to debugging. So we will see a lot of current application of Gen AI in efficiency to scale. Of course, there are organizations that are driving effectiveness in customer interactions, effectiveness in decision making, but not understanding the risk and the regulatory obligations. I think this is an area which requires a lot more work before we can go to that place. What we're also seeing are emergence of new areas, right? New variants of digital assistants. You have a digital assistant which is your so-called fashion advisor. You'll have a digital assistant who will be your fitness advisor. You'll have a digital assistant who will be a choreographer. So your virtual assistants are now expanding beyond financial well-being to living styles and so on. What we see in the future would be an element of extensive design, now whether it is for infrastructure, whether it is for drugs, whether it is for machines, and so on. So there is a lot that we're expecting the Gen AI capabilities to deliver. And for us as individuals, I think what we're also seeing is one of the outcomes of Gen AI is just the production of data. Right? Now, the challenge that we will have is our ability to now make decisions with such large amount of superfluous data. So, how do you address the scalability? How do you address this large volumes of data which has different aspects of truth or generating information with technology systems and data engineering which has to mine through this volumes of data with the compute and the storage that is required in order to arrive at split-second decisions, because human nature is to still get things faster. The other challenge is how do you distinguish between what is authentic and otherwise? Right? How do you distinguish between a JD which looks stunningly good but could have been created by JD? And last but not least is, the level of innovation that will come across also has to temper the risk, whether it's copyrights and the IPs that are associated with it. Overall, if AI was to generate close to $40 to $50 trillion, we're seeing an incremental impact of another $2 to $4 trillion just to Gen AI. And this is just scratching the surface. What I also expect, and again, this is just my sense, is a possibility that we will actually witness a creation of a new world, whether it's a digital world or a world which will coexist through the power of Gen AI. Now, it is very much a possibility, as I said, that Gen AI will control or provide aspects of what a right side of the game would be. So you don't need a choreographer. If you have a particular style, like jazz or salsa, that you want a choreographer for, Gen AI or a system will actually tell you what are the next steps that you should practice in order to get deep from this group. So you have the ability to now predict things which typically is associated with creativity. Digital immersion. It's very much possible that you're watching a game at home, but you have generative AI which is creating the atmosphere of crowd and sound and popcorn and what have you, so that you feel well immersed in the world of what you would if you were watching movies. You will have, of course, hyper-personalization. We are seeing culinaries, recipes, travel, course materials, everything is getting hyper-personalized. And we will see extensive amount of hyper-personalization to the point that every single aspect of what we like, finance, health, personal well-being, style and lifestyle events, everything will be personalized for us. Digital avatars, I think this is an interesting one that I feel could happen now with the ability to take a piece of voice and then create dialogues through that voice. Take a piece of image and create different variants of the image. It's possible that human beings will now become immortal. So if you have a loved one which is departed, you could potentially have a continuous conversation with that loved one through the power of Gen AI. That's a possibility. Of course, the level of human thinking that will generate, because now AI, with its aspects of autonomous and pervasive knowledge, access to pervasive knowledge, and the ability to make decisions, the human level kind of thinking that Gen AI will be able to generate will be far more pronounced than what it is. As I said, I think there are aspects of risk that we all have to be mindful of, and I probably put that in three categories. One is just when it comes to the development of the model, things that could probably hamper the performance of the model, whether it is hallucination or accuracy and so on. The other aspect, which is equally important, is around ethics. Right? So explainability of the model is the right intent when the model was deployed for a particular decision was taken into consideration. And the last is aspects of innovation and copyrights and IP. Now, there's already been a lot of litigations. I think the one which comes to mind recently was an emoji which was generated and that has now going through a lawsuit. So I think while there is massive amount of excitement around this, and we are living in a country where MAS actually plays an extremely important role in regulating AI ethics and governance and they were one of the first nations that actually established the fee principle. So I think it behooves us as leaders to just balance the responsibility that we have around governance and ethics with the excitement that the CIOs, the CTOs, the CDOs, and the CMOs have with the possibilities of Gen AI. So I just summarized what I feel are things that we could do as a group. Again, this I understand that there is a session that you today today, and based on my own personal experience of what we are currently experiencing around Gen AI capabilities, I think the first important aspect is, at the end of the day, if you're in financial services firm, or if you're in healthcare, if you're in telco, or if you're in insurance, I think these are the regulatory ones. But even if you're not, I think the first and foremost is important. It's important for us to weave the fabric of risk and control around it. At the end of the day, before there were cars, there were no traffic lights. Now there is a proliferation of cars and hence you need to have traffic lights. Similarly, you have a proliferation of Gen AI-based algorithms. It's important that we fuel the fabric of risk and control. I think the second one is about unraveling the threat. What I mean by that is, in all, I hope there are no vendors here, but in our experience, in our roles, I think one of the things that we see are, again, a proliferation of vendors. You've got API providers like a Bloomberg chart, then you've got the cloud players that are essentially offering your own private cloud instance of a platform, or you can actually go about building your own environment through a combination of AWS and the others. So there are different ways you can go about building the platform, but it's important for us as an organization to create the right environment, create the guardrails, create the boundaries, eliminate the level of inaccuracy that will come from hallucinations and biases, so that the sandbox that is created is generally used for use cases that are here and now that can drive efficiencies. The third is about firing agent. Now, what I mean by firing agent, this is a new capability. If not harnessed well, and when I say not harnessed well, meaning if not strung with the culture of capabilities, literacy, awareness, use cases, it will die very fast. So we've got to ensure that while we are creating the sandbox, we're also igniting the engines through the various interactions that we need to have with the various functional departments, through various data culture programs and all. And last is, I think this is an opportunity where I feel that it should be led by the CEOs. Of course, I'm sure there will be a few CIOs in the organization who think otherwise. We always felt that the data and the technology are the two sides of the coin, but when it comes to Gen AI, yes, it is an emerging technology, but the application of the technology and responsible use of the technology, of this capability is something that the CDOs should hold. So I think the opportunity again presents us to come forward and demonstrate the power of what this will bring about and what use cases will drive efficiency and effectiveness. Last but not the least, I just wanted to thank him. As I said, I've been associated with him for 9 years when I was with the Tatas and Tech in India. Firstly, again, this is a slide that I feel what AIM has to offer. Of course, my email basket gave me a lot more content. But I think associating with AIM essentially offers 3 things. First is the ability to inspire each other. I'm sure that each of us are pursuing challenging and exciting things that could egg us on together as a collective group. So there is clearly an opportunity to learn from each other, inspire from some of the things that you've been able to drive in your organization and strengthens. I think the ability to interact, like minds, we are a minority still in the world of in the world of technology, and I do feel that there is an opportunity for us to again interact, put forward common agenda points, opportunities, strategies, and so on. And then I think the combination of inspiration and interaction eventually will drive innovation. Innovation does not necessarily mean innovation for disruption, but innovation also in form of governance. Right? So can this group influence MAS with respect to using loans with FA, with fee? Can this group influence some of the culture and capability programs and institutions should be able to drive. Can this group be instrumental in creating the right incubators and the environments that the organizations are required to have? So again, each of these things are outputs that I've witnessed through my partnership with him and other organizations that we were able to drive. And I believe that he has the same vision as what each of us have, and hopefully, when we come together, we'll be able to put together a common belief and passion towards that. Okay. So with that, I'll hand it back to you, Mahima, and thank you for the opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you for that interesting and insightful talk, Deep. We're open for questions, so in case you guys have any, please raise your hand and we'll pass the microphone across.
I think I'll find it out. First of all, good morning, everybody. Thanks, Deep, for the wonderful insights. My name is Sachin Talk from GovTech. Good to be part of this community. I think I really like your talk, but just wanted to take your perspective on the real use cases from Gen AI perspective. So what we are doing in our government sector is that we are actually trying to still identify potential use cases which will bring operational efficiency using Gen AI. So is there any kind of practical use cases which you have been working on, or some of the things which you have seen a great return on investments using Gen AI?
Yeah, I can. I haven't done it recorded because I'm not expected to talk about use cases, but I'll give you a real world example, right? And this is something I'm sure most of you are witnessing. We are a global organization, and like many organizations, we are going to cloud. Cloud offers its own set